Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. That's right. It's me, your favorite comic book artist's favorite comic book artist. I am Jax, and I am here today to go over my 100 Days of Horror challenge. Can you see me backing up so that you can actually see what my shirt says in total? Because they don't. They don't. We'll just leave that there. If you're on my channel and you don't already know that, I don't know what to say to you. I'm sorry that you're just now finding that out. Spoilers. There might be some spoilers in this. And I really hate the way my hair is sitting. Maybe I should have put a beanie on or something like that. But today I am coming to you with my 100 Days of Horror breakdown, starting on July 23rd. And don't do the math because I know I didn't do it incorrectly when I did it. And it's a precisely 100 Days of Horror leading up to Halloween night. You're supposed to watch one movie every single day. The secondary portion of the challenge is that you watch movies that you haven't seen before. I failed on that on a number of days, but there were days where I just wanted to watch something, and I wanted to watch something that I knew I would enjoy. I gave small reviews or breakdowns of these, usually 1 to 2 sentences, and I gave it a rating on 5 stars. Now, some of the years on these may be off one way or another based on where the actual copyright was versus when it was first screened or what have you. But this information was broken down based on the streaming service that I was using, saying what year it was, or IMDb. So bear with me. It may be off by 1 or 2. So day 1, and I'm just going to say the dates, the name, the year, star rating, and then what I said about it or how I felt about it. July 23rd, Death Valley 2021. Give me a second here. Okay, there we go. Death Valley 2021, 2 stars. Resident Evil knockoff with simplistic cliche dialogue that sounds like a 5th grader wrote it. Not the best way to start off with this list. July 24th, Return of the Aliens Deadly Spawn. 1983, 2 stars. It was just kind of there. Good effects for that time period. Not a strong story or characters. Kind of the nice thing was it felt like nobody in that story was truly safe. July 25th, Vampire from 1932, 2.5 stars. Maybe that sounds a little harsh. Amazing visual effects for 1932. And actually, those wouldn't have been visual effects, they would have been special effects. Visual effects are actually done post-production. There was some stuff in this that I found incredibly amazing. Just the use of shadows in the cinematography to give the illusion of like the characters walking. And there was part where they did it like a double plate where they filmed a guy and they made him somewhat transparent, like he wasn't fully on the same plane, right? That they filmed on. So they did 2 filmings. But then when he walked through the door, because you couldn't have the door move, he like eased through the doorway. So it was a smart tactic because even though he's already dead, if you're just freshly dead, you're not going to be just like, oh, I'm a ghost, I can just walk through this door. So it really made sense in that manner. July 26th, Sinners 2025, 3.5 stars. Great cinematography and one-shots, or those one-take long camera shots with no cuts. The timeline of music I thought was really interesting. It was just very heavy-handed. That kind of took me out of it a lot. Plus, I'm not a huge Michael B. Jordan fan, so. July 27th, Mermaid's Curse from 2019, 1 star. 1 star is the lowest I go on this list as well. Just basic, not scary, uncompelling characters. This is probably one of those things that maybe should have warranted a mid-grade, like 2.5 stars. It just was, there was nothing really to it. July 28th, Mayhem from 2017, 3.5 stars. Chaotic massacre that delves into the true evils of capitalism. Steve Yeun was also really awesome. July 29th, Slacks from 2020. 3 stars. Sisterhood of the Murdering Pants is basically the take on this. A fun concept on capitalism and unethical labor practices. If you haven't seen Slacks, it's a lot of fun. It's comedy horror, you know. July 30th, Grafted 2024, 3 stars. Single Chinese female loses her chill and takes faces off. Really, really love this one. July 31st, St. John's Wort 2001, 2.5 stars. Video game within a video game. Weird but cool with a predictable ending, but they had swerve gender queering, which I thought was a cool take. August 1st, which is apparently when this whole thing is supposed to start, and you're supposed to watch 100 movies from August 1st, but whatever. Mad God 2021, 3 stars. Surreal stop motion in an industrialized hellscape. I really enjoyed that one. There was actually no ADR, no voiceovers, no dialogue in it. Really, really well done. August 2nd, Monster Island 2024, 2.75 stars. In 1944, 2 POWs survive an island stalked by Gillman on steroids. Interesting, but not great. Some of the visuals were pretty decent. August 3rd, Sam Was Here from 2026, 3.5 stars. Isolated insanity with unknown reason and motivations. Who was the actual villain in this movie? August 4th, Teddy from 2020, 3 stars. Coming of age werewolf story with an identifiable protagonist and a fucked up ending. If you're into werewolf movies and you're into movies that use horror tropes as like the idea of like puberty and coming of age and stuff like that, stuff like Ginger Snaps, Teddy was really, really good. Equinox, August 5th, 1970, 1.5 stars. Odd picnic with nothing to drink turns stop motion because of a book in a cave, essentially. Like, you know. I also watched Carved from 2024. Not that Carved. 3 stars. Murder Pumpkin gets revenge on a small town during their Halloween fest. Solid special effects. And this is something you're going to hear a couple of times. Stupid fun. If I tell you something is stupid fun, it means it's not taking itself too seriously, but it's a lot of fun to watch at the same time. August 6th, Culture Shock 2019, 3.5 stars. It's from the Into the Dark series on Hulu. Immigrant nightmare as Marisol flees Mexico, only to end up in small town American utopian nightmare. Quote from the movie, "You're not paid to give them the American dream, Tom. We're paid to keep them out of it." August 7th, The Monkey. You knew I was going to get to this. 2.75 stars. It's an inside joke, and you'll understand it if you're a Misty. Rock and Roll Martian runs amok without the help of Chatty Cathy, Tito Puente, or Ernest Borgnine, but John Mickle Thor has a gun instead of a bat. Also stupid fun. August 8th was the first time I missed a day. I hung out with a friend. We hung out until like 11 o'clock at night. By the time I came home, I was dog tired. No way I was going to be able to understand or comprehend anything going on. August 9th, One Missed Call Part 3. I believe it was something else. It was like something, One Missed Call 3 from 2006, 4 stars. Our first 4-star movie. Vengeful Mimiko possesses bullied comatose teen to exact revenge on her tormentors. This time, the curse can be forwarded. Kind of a unique concept to the One Missed Call. I really enjoyed it. Another 4-star movie, Cuckoo, from 2024. Teenager stuck in resort living hell surrounded by Human Cuckoo Preservation Society. Great movie. You should check it out. August 10th, Hellboy the Crooked Man from 2024. 3.75 stars. Great makeup effects. Felt like lore existing in the Hellboy universe. Dark, foreboding, haunting, and creepy, but in an endearing way. One of the problems I had with this movie was the fact that the main female in the movie, they made her like a little too cute. Like a lot of movies don't have just regular normal looking people. Like they're a little too attractive to be in the settings or in these time periods and things like that. So, I also watched King Kong Lives, 1986, 1.5 stars, goofy costumes, and a what the fuck love story results in Deus Ex Kongaka. And Prince Kong? And why was that black kid waving a Confederate flag? August 11th, Onibaba, 1964, 3 stars. Mother deals with the aftermath of war and her son's widow moving on after news of his death. Becomes a demon to make sure she doesn't stray. Just a really interesting concept. August 12th, They Them, 2012. This was a Peacock original, 3.5 stars. If this is how queers are seen, then the ends justify the means. There is some animal death in this that made parts of it hard to see, and there's a lot of it in terms of how the treatment of the different characters and them being queer. This is talked about as a non-conversion therapy camp, but it is a conversion therapy camp, and like history breaks things down, and there's a lot of closeted fear and stuff like that within the staff themselves. So it's truly like a really, really good movie, and you don't feel like anybody is safe in this movie either. August 13th, Y2K from 2024, 3 stars, stupid fun. What if Y2K really happened and Fred Durst was the only Limp Bizkit member to survive the mayhem? It's a fair question. August 14th, Azrael from 2024, 3.5 stars. Woman wages guerrilla warfare on wicked leftovers. All suffer the wrath of their mortal sins, and a child shall lead them. Another one of those like prophecy type manifestation movies, but it was done really, really well in a different type of post-apocalyptic type of world. August 15th, The Rule of Jenny Penn from 2024. A lot of more modern movies that people probably would be like, why aren't you doing stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s? Those get thrown in here and there. The Rule of Jenny Penn is from 2024. It's 3.75 stars. A mean old stroked out judge is menaced by a pensioner with a hand puppet in a nursing home. That is literally how the movie goes, and you should watch it because it's fucking awesome. August 16th, Some Guy Who Kills People. Literally the title of the movie from 2011. 3 stars. Violent trauma surviving comic book artist meets his 11-year-old daughter for the first time as murders happen across Green Oaks. Kind of feels like a horror movie, kind of feels like an action thriller, but it fell within that category. I also watched Maxine from 2024. 2 stars. Maliciously personal murder follows new Hollywood starlet during the Night Stalker slayings of the 1980s. August 17th, Ginger Snaps from 2000, 4.75 stars, no notes. Damn near perfect movie. I love that. It's my favorite werewolf movie of all time. I also watched Clown in the Cornfield, 2025, 2 stars. Dumb generational animosity with an entire town conspiring to keep small town values and money. Kevin Durand is in it, but that's about it. August 18th, The Reef from 2010, 2.5 stars. Yacht capsizes and 4 friends swim for their lives with a shark in hot pursuit. Based on a true story, maybe, I don't know. August 19th, Last Night in Soho from 2021, 4 stars. Ghost of Murders Past come to haunt towny girl in the big city. Actually a really, really well done movie. Probably more of a thriller than a horror, but when I'm looking through like lists and movies fall into the horror category, I consider them part of this, and that's how we do it. August 20th, this is the first of several public domain movies that I will watch. Popeye's Revenge from 2025, because Popeye is now public domain. 1 star, bunch of unlikable cunts in this public domain cluster fuck. That's a true story. August 21st, I also missed. I don't remember what happened. Probably just too tired, was doing other stuff. Didn't feel like I was going to be able to sit down and pay attention to what was going on. That was another thing. I didn't want to just have these movies on in the background, right? I wanted to pay attention to them so that I could write my little synopsis and give an accurate rating to them. So we go to August 22nd. August 22nd, Mosquito, 1995, 2 stars. Gunnar Hansen fighting giant alien mutated mosquitoes with a chainsaw and solid effects. August 23rd, Ash from 2025, 3 stars. In search of a new home planet, amnesiac lone survivor must remember what happened to the crew. Good visuals in that, kind of a dark, cerebral undertone. August 24th, The Pack, 2015, 2 3/4 stars. Packs of feral and volatile wolves are showing up all over, targeting humans. Pretty basic synopsis there, but that's what I gleaned from it. August 25th, Wolfgen, 2022, 3 stars. The unrepentant instinct to roam free is stronger than a bloodline. It was an interesting movie. I enjoyed it. August 26th, Humane from 2024. Reminiscent of other flicks like Logan's Run and The Hunger Games, a rich family has to choose one of their own to die. They do, but the wrong people always live as a life where rich people are in power and the poor and working class are thanked for their sacrifice. Sound familiar? I'm sorry. Sound familiar? August 27th, Last Straw, 2023, 3 stars. Pregnant and working the late shift, manager fires the cook who needs the job, insurance, and medication. And everything goes wrong. Really, really good movie. August 28th, Child's Play from 1990, 4 3/4 stars. No Notes, my favorite movie in the Child's Play and Chucky-verse series. Of course, the very next day, I got to meet Christina Lease from Child's Play 2. Got her to sign a bunch of stuff, including the doll right there. August 29th, Shockwaves, 1977, 1 star. Zombie Nazi super soldiers who don't die and are aquatic. I had to rewind multiple parts of this movie because it was so dull that I had trouble not fucking with my phone. August 30th, Seed of Chucky from 2004, 3 stars. This rating is up heavily from years past when I first watched it. Queerness blatantly explored as killers have a non-binary child doll. Lots of fun kills, meta body theft, and an interesting way to talk about gender identity and horror. Always a great movie. And started delving more into everything that went on subsequently in the Chuckyverse. August 31st, Attack of the Killer Donuts from 2016, 4.5 stars. Stupid fun, no notes. Look it up. September 1st, Terrifier 3, 2024, 2 stars. High production gore porn, now with demonic possession. Just not a fan. September 2nd, The Craft Legacy 2020, 1.5 stars. What the fuck did I just watch? It gets 1 star for Fairuza Balk returning as Nancy for 30 seconds. I mean, watch it. There was no reason for this story to happen. It was fucking clown shoes. September 3rd, Woman in the Yard, 2025, 3.5 stars. Woman must face grief and suicidal ideations given physical form. Dark and hard to watch at times, but brutally brilliant, in all honesty. It was easy to figure out what was going on a little bit into the movie, but it still was So well done. September 4th, From Beyond from 1986, 1.5 stars, good practical effects and body horror, plus Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, and Ken Foree. Plot was nothing spectacular. Incidentally, a few weeks later, I got to meet Joe Dolanek, who worked on From Beyond and a couple of other movies on this list, and did some of the special effects in this game. September 5th, The Friendship Game from 2023, 3 stars, effed up, deepest desires tear 4 friends apart. Really weird, twisty type thing. Kind of like replaying a bunch of different stuff, but it was still kind of cool. September 6th, The Djinn, 2021, 2.25 stars, good, not great, survive the night, and your wish comes true at a price. So kind of Monkey's Paw-esque type thing. September 7th, Fright Night from 1985, classic 80s horror with some cheese. I also then watched Sick from 2022, 2 stars, asymptomatic COVID carrier infects the son of parents who seek revenge. No one to root for or against because kind of everybody was an asshole in this scenario. Fright Night was cool because Amanda Bierce, William Ragsdale, and the guy who played Brewster's friend, the guy whose voice cracks, were all at Gathering of the Ghouls. And I think this was the very, very first time I ever watched Fright Night all the way through. I'm not sure why I didn't watch it all the way through previously, maybe just bad attention span, or I didn't think it was scary enough, or something along those lines. But anyways, on to September 8th, Vesper from 2022, 4 stars. 13-year-old Vesper must survive a harsh, organic cyberpunk apocalyptic world with amazing world building and practical effects. Now, I found out that organic cyberpunk, one of my friends said it's called solar punk, if it's like organic cyberpunk kind of thing. I like organic cyberpunk, but solar punk sounds cool too. September 9th, First Contact, not that one, from 2023, 2 stars, interesting premise of if humans deserve to go on or should be wiped from existence. How poignant. September 10th, Hellhole from 2024, 3 stars, Hell Beast metaphor for abortion with men as the parasitic hosts. Solid special effects in this one. September 11th, Divinity from 2023, 2 stars. Trite dialogue and plot with black and white visuals make this feel like an hour-and-a-half long bougie perfume commercial. Believe me, it was. The stop-motion fight scene was mint, though. That was near the end of the movie. But other than that, it wasn't great. Stephen Dorff, I love Stephen Dorff, but at the same time, I couldn't give it a high score for that. 2 stars is probably being generous. September 12th, Popeye the Slayer Man, 2025, 2 stars. Not as bad as Popeye's Revenge, but still bad. Had funny moments taking place in a spinach cannery. Decent effects on the Slayer Man, but still bad. September 13th, Shiver Me Timbers, 2025, 1 star. Yet another public domain Popeye horror, this time with comedy. Halley's Comet turns an old fisherman into a jacked and bloodthirsty wrecking crew. With a big, weird boat or pipe. I think it was the only one that used the pipe, and he was using the part of Halley's Comet meteorite and put it in there and burn a bunch of people up with it too. That part was kind of cool. And then I also watched Intruder, but I watched it on Joe Bob's Last Drive-In on Shudder. 1989, 3 stars. The best supermarket-based movie ever. Early Canby effects work. Really, really top-notch movie. September 14th, The Devil's Candy from 2015, 3.5 stars. Better than it had any right to be. Cold and dark with a heavy metal overtone. Really, really good movie, actually. September 15th, Tigers Are Not Afraid from 2017, 4 stars. This is a quote from the movie. "We have to remember we are princes and warriors and tigers are not afraid. Beautiful and terrifying, 5 children dodge the cartel while finding their freedom as princes, warriors, and tigers." September 16th, Nightman 2023, 2 3/4 stars. Is evil created or hereditary? Sleepwalking acts of evil coupled with serious personality disorders between a married couple who are now pregnant. September 17th, The House by the Cemetery from 1984, 1.5 stars. Just kind of overrated, bloody but riffable. A lot of these Italian giallos, not the greatest movies in the world. They're just cult. September 18th, Screamboat from 2025, 1.5 stars. Death on the Staten Island ferry, because I, for one, would rather be dead than in Staten Island. September 19th, Scream 2022, 2 stars. Hollywood has nothing original to say. That's an actual quote from the movie, and that's my review of the movies. At least the final girls were Latina. That's where the 2 stars come from. September 20th, Final Destination from 2000, 3.5 stars. Great premise and story building. Maybe too good for its own good. Final Destination 2 is something I always also watched on September 20th from 2003. 2 stars. Iconic premonition scene that is memed to death. Otherwise, it was kind of just there. September 21st, Takeout 2025, 2 3/4 stars. Predictable twist with an interesting path to the end. September 22nd, Spellcaster from 1987. This is when I'm coming back from Gathering of the Ghouls, so I'm starting to try to watch some of the stuff that I learned about Mr. Joe Dolinek working on some of these movies, so I was seeking out some stuff that he worked on. Spellcaster from 1987, 2 3/4 stars. Kind of a rock and roll remake of House on Haunted Hill. Great special effects, especially the chair. There's a great Pee-wee's Playhouse cherry demon chair kind of thing. Ghoulies from 1985, 2 stars. Probably the best in the entire series of the Ghoulies movies. Goofy witchcraft occultism, trying to be dark, but not succeeding. Early Mariska Hargitay, though. September 23rd, Ghoulies 2, 1987. 2 stars. Sillier and less serious than the original, but also more fun, and the effects were stronger. This one also had like a classic carnival horror trope that went along with it. September 24th, Ghoulies Go to College, 1981. 2 stars. Ghoulies in college with every bad trope available. Bad college movies. Final Destination 3 from 2006, 2 stars, kind of just there. At least Chris Lemke played a badass. Chris Lemke was also in Ginger Snaps, if you're interested. On the 25th of September, Final Destination 4, 2009, 1 3/4 stars. Too much CGI. But at least I got to watch a Nazi die twice. Final Destination 5 from 2011, 2 stars. 4 sequels in, and only innovation is that death skips you and you gain the time of whomever you murder. Was a nice touch, but it was walked back right away. Ties into the first movie, though, which was kind of nice. September 26th, Rotten Tail 2019, decent, or 2 stars, decent makeup and prosthetics, story of a nerd who seeks revenge after being bitten by a mutated military rabbit. Kind of as dumb as it sounds. Again, though, the prosthetics were pretty decent. September 27th, Final Destination Bloodlines from 2025. 3 stars, interesting premise. I loved having J.D. Bloodworth's ties the entire story together. That was a highlight. It was Tony Todd's last film, not the last film that was released, but it was his last film that he filmed. At that point, he was very, very sick. So it wrapped up everything nicely. They basically let him have free reign of what his monologue was, and it was brilliant. I got to meet Tony Todd years ago, and he was a very, very kind and genteel man. Never heard a bad word about him, and giving him that send off was kind of beautiful for knowing that somebody was going to die, and him being able to say it in kind of his other franchise other than Candyman and having that tie in. September 28th, American Mary from 2012. 3 stars. This stars Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps. Brutal examination of Dr. Frankenstein enveloped by a god complex and revenge. I know I've seen this movie before because there were parts of it that seemed really familiar, so I'm not sure if maybe because I watched it on Tubi, so maybe I fell asleep watching something else and woke up during parts of this, but there were parts of it that I definitely recognized. September 29th, Daddy's Head from 2024. I gave this 3 stars. It's a different take on grief and loss and the darkness that comes with it. A little artsy in its execution, but still really, really good. September 30th. Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry. Thought my dog was walking around me. September 30th. This was the second time I was trying to watch this movie because the first disc skipped and scratched, and this one was no different. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon from 2006. 3 stars, even though I didn't finish it. I know how it ends. A documentary about a horror movie maniac planning his magnum opus turns into a horror movie where the entire story becomes about the journalist becoming the final girl. They use really weird like vocabulary. They call her a survivor girl, and there's like they use the term red herring, and it's not really a red herring. And then they use the term what is it? You've got an Ahab, but it's not an Ahab because Ahab's from Moby Dick, and like I think part of it was just supposed to be like this inner industry vernacular, but like what is serial killer inner industry dialogue and vocabulary? It's kind of weird. I saw the TV Glow from 2024. It was 3 stars. Bizarre and surreal. It's not known if they were in the TV show or not. It's kind of just all there is to it. October 1st, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare 2025. 3 stars, brutal and efficient. It didn't help the story that it's connected to the Poohniverse, the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey universe. It doesn't track if they exist together because there's actually a kid wearing a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey shirt. So it's meta, but it's acknowledging that. It's weird. There was some final Friday the 13th Part 4 final chapter vibes with Michael killing Peter. There was also some really interesting gender queering roles in the story with like Tinkerbell and with Peter. October 2nd, La Abuela from 2021, 3.5 stars. A woman must put her life on hold when her Nana falls ill, becoming a familial caregiver, and Nana won't let her leave. Now, this took like a supernatural turn in like the last act. I feel like it would have been better if it hadn't done that. That's why it only gets 3.5 stars. But it was brilliant in its execution of somebody's life changing so drastically and then not feeling like they could possibly leave without this person dying. Really, really well done. what I do for my day job really plays into what I see and hear from people who are caring for somebody in their family. October 3rd was Pearl, an extraordinary origin story from 2022. 2 stars. It was a movie. Farm girl becomes infamous in her salacious quest for fame, and she fucks a scarecrow. October 4th, School Spirit from 2019. It was also an Into the Dark episode. That's on Hulu, 2.5 stars. Lots of similar tropes built into idealized thoughts. The ending was a little bit of a letdown in some of its like kind of execution, but at the same time, it wasn't in the same vein. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Um, but just like it was just kind of like it felt mean spirited, but it wasn't. I don't know. It's just the way I read it. October 5th, Killer Crocodile from 1989, 1 star, and it's lucky to get that. Just another bad Italian Jaws knockoff. October 6th, Creepers from 1985, 2 stars. It's an interesting premise, and although not totally predictable, it was super tropey. It had Donald Pleasance and Jennifer Connelly in it. Um, October 7th, Night of the Reaper from 2025, 3 stars. Solid story and reverse premise. All the evidence was presented along the way. October 8th, The Hunt from 2020, 3 stars. Cancel culture meets the 1% who may have met their match, or maybe it's just a case of mistaken identity. Interesting movie. Could have sworn I had seen it or heard of it before. October 9th, The Birds from 1963, 2 stars. Surprising gore for a Hitchcock movie. Very slow pacing and hard to latch onto. I also nodded off during like the last 10 to 15 minutes of this. October 10th, Abigail from 2024. And I know there's going to be people who are like, how could you not like The Birds? This is my list. You make your list. October 10th, Abigail from 2024, 3 stars, really fun. The puppet aspect was enjoyable. It had such a predictable ending. October 11th, Zombie 4 After Death, or also known as After Death from 1989, 1.5 stars. Just bad. No coherent story. Wretched dubbing, but it ended with no survivors. That's the 1 star. October 12th, Nope from 2022, 3 stars. Fun and interesting concept. Some dark moments worked really well, and the environment became its own character. October 13th, Dark Windows 2023, 3 stars. She's a final girl because he allowed her to live with her choice. Stellar ending. October 14th, Deadly Friend from 1986, 1.5 stars. I don't know why it got 1.5 stars. Final Girl Syndrome on Overdrive. Robot brain Sam brought back to life and is out of control. I forget if this was based on somebody's book or something like that, or a short story. October 15th, Porno from 2019. I believe somebody at Gathering of the Ghouls mentioned this to me, or maybe it was Horror Fest mentioned this to me. That I should watch it. 3 stars, really good camera work and lighting, decent character development. But how was that not Kieran Culkin as Heavy Metal Jeff? What do you mean nobody calls him that? October 14th, Video of the Dead, 1986. Good makeup effects. Lines felt underdelivered. Weird execution of plot. That could have been better. October 17th, Billy Club from 2014, 2 stars. Basic trauma turned psycho killer with a list of victims, with some goofy dialogue and indie spirit. Baseball. October 19th, Morgan from 2016, 3 stars. More proof while you don't mess with genetics. Predictable reveal, but overall solid character development. I also like Anya Taylor-Joy. And Kate Mara in this, just the physical presence of her, she looks like she could play Miss Makima if they did a live action Chainsaw Man. October 19th, Hereditary from 2018, 4 stars. What the fuck did I just watch? And maybe because of that, October 20th, I didn't watch anything. I was ass tired. So October 21st, Starve Acre from 2023, 3 stars. Dark Village Secret runs to destroy a family that has one chance for survival. That chance, sacrifice. October 22nd, Mr. Crockett from 2024, 3.5 stars. A fun and fucked up take on the idea of protecting children from not Captain Kangaroo. October 23rd, Legion from 2010, 2.75 stars. Good action, but a basic premise. And of course, the savior is a white baby. October 24th, Little Corey Gory from 1993, 1 star. I thought this was a trauma film. I really did, just with the way it was put together. All the audio was ADR, and it was bad, like so bad. I don't know how they recorded the audio, but it sounded terrible. It was like you could turn the volume down and it still spiked above whatever level you had the volume at. So that was really, that also brought part of it down. It wasn't great. The kills weren't very good, and it was barely a story at that. October 25th, The Ugly Stepsister from 2025, 4.25 stars. Excellent filmmaking. Both a cerebral and gruesome take on beauty, life, and familial expectations. It was a Cinderella, a version of Cinderella, kind of told from the perspective of the stepsister, and she wasn't evil. She was trying to exist. The weird part about this was that the beauty standards were modern beauty standards and not from whenever this movie like timeline takes place. It's like the 1700s maybe, where beauty standards were way different. So I don't understand how the beauty standards still tied into now, but whatever. The very next day, I went with my buddy Richard to go watch Chainsaw Man the movie, The Reze Act, from 2025. I would consider this horror because it is body horror, and it's dealing with devils and contracts with evil and, murder and all these kinds of things. 4.75 stars. No notes other than I demand more power. I also watched You'll Never Find Me from 2023. 3 stars. Intriguing and psychologically fucked up. It draws you in and asks why. October 27th, The Blob from 1988. 2.75 stars with great effects. Joe Dolinek is credited as a main or master mold maker in this. He told me an interesting story about these like Letterman jackets that the crew got, the special effects crew got, on the making of The Blob. And then there was another guy there, I think his name is Dave, ended up with that jacket. Like Joe sold it to him, and it's this beautiful Letterman jacket, and it's got his name on it. And on the back it says, like The Blob special effects team kind of thing. This is like a really, really cool kind of like team gift that they did for themselves, which I think is really, really cool. Had great effects and intertwined storytelling. It was a solid remake, in all honesty. Wreck from 2007, 3 stars, solid filmmaking, and you definitely know the government would do that too. This was before found footage became an overused concept. It had already been done a couple of times, but this was done a little bit differently. October 28th, Sisters from 1972, 2.75 stars. It was Rear Window with BID and Siamese twins. The Nun from 2018, 3.25 stars. Catholic's worst nightmare. The definition of crazy white people shit. A cool psycho nun design, though. And if crazy white people shit, and you've watched some of my previous videos, you understand what I'm saying about that. October 29th, The Nun 2, Electric Popaloo. 2 3/4 stars. The concept that the blood of Christ, spoiler alert, couldn't stop a demon and evil passed itself onto another who then wrought death, complete with the tired chosen one trope. Visuals were great, though. October 30th, Heretic from 2024. 4 stars. Fear is your only God. This was a brilliantly made movie. I was unhappy with the ending that the bad guy didn't win because all of it made perfect sense. It was brilliant. October 31st, I watched 3 movies, one of which I fell asleep during like the last 20 minutes. First movie was Devoured from 2012. 4 stars. Great story with a solid ending, good character development, and excellent villains. Then I watched Candyland from 2022. 3 stars. Exiled from her cult, a religious zealot meets a pack of hookers at a truck stop in the middle of nowhere. That is literally it. It was good, though. Halloween 6, or Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. Working title was Halloween, the Origin of Michael Myers. From 1985, 1.5 stars. This masterclass of fuckery in the franchise holds a near and dear spot in my heart because it was the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters. Even though Tommy Doyle, played by Paul Rudd, acts like he took a shitload of Tylenol. That's going to age poorly. Anyways, this is my 100 Days of Horror minus 3 days. And it's actually, I like when I count backwards, it's 101 days. So I don't know like how that is. And maybe next time I'll just try to watch 100 movies from August 1st or just watch movies from October 1st. But yeah, watched a lot of movies that I haven't seen before. Watched a handful of movies that I have seen before, or parts of them that seemed really, really familiar. Overall, if there are movies on this list that you would like to check out, I encourage you to do so, or make your own list of your top horror movies. Not that this is my top list, because a lot of those movies are not on this list. If you've seen any of the movies on this list, tell me in the comments what you thought of some of those movies. Or if there was a movie that I saw that you disagree with my rating on, tell me about that too. But if you've seen any of the movies on the list that I just read, also your homework assignment, which one was your favorite? And hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, and be putting out some more art-based videos shortly. Working on the full blog of page 25 of Welcome to Pleasant Falls Chapter 2. Couple of time-lapse and full videos of sketch cards being created. And if there's stuff that you want to see me do, more reviews, more tutorials, more just straight art with ADR voiceover, let me know. Maybe talking about the techniques and the supplies that I use again. Either way, hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. And until next time.